Ayo, what is going on, viewers of the tube? My name is Tyler and welcome to the channel that keeps it raw dog like Joe Rogan. But all I gotta say, Joe, is what the freak.
I love that. You're very smart and very logical and very intelligent. Maybe you need your own show. Imagine. Wow. I grew up around a lot of Koreans.
Yeah.
Koreans. Whew. I love Koreans.
It's getting crazy.
Listen,
Sorry.
I love you a lot. I really do.
It's kind of crazy.
But
Yeah.
you're kind of hot.
You know how we cut and paste. It's time for Chico Crypto. Well, just like Joe, we're going to bring an alternate view of the world and not creep on a girl. A view that the mainstream wants to keep silent. And if it does get loud, they will just chalk it up as some crazy conspiracy. What are we talking about? The coming zombie economic world of zombie corporations as governments slash rates into negative territory, which they believe will save them, but in reality will only pave the way for such a severe economic collapse it will make the Great Depression look like peanuts in comparison. So you have to know what the Fed did last week. I made a video explaining an emergency meeting between the G7 and their central bank governors. The result, the United States Federal Reserve conducted an emergency rate cut earlier this week, lowering the Fed funds rate from 1.50 to 1.75 down to 1 to 1.25, a 0.5% slash, with 1.75% slashed in the last year. Wait, aren't rates supposed to be slashed during times of economic trouble? Well, yes, that is the case. As extending out the Fed's fund rate since the 70s, rates begin to get slashed when a recession hits. Gray bars are recessions, and as you can see, a slash right before each one. And since the 80s, the rates have never recovered, reaching lower highs and lower lows, a definite bearish trend. So why are we slashing them right now by the largest chunk since the 2008 recession? Isn't our economy booming, Mr. Presidente?
Every day for the last long period of days, the stock market, meaning companies, have been hitting new highs. The stock market has gained almost $3 trillion in value since the election on November 8th, a record. The stock market reached yet another all-time, in history, all-time high today. Today, I'm proud to stand before you as President of the United States to report that we have delivered on our promises and exceeded our expectations by a very wide margin.
Well, it does look like it on paper. Since the Trumpster took office, the Dow Jones has been pumping with no stop or slowdown. Literally almost 100% point gains in just 4 years. Unnatural? Yeah, big time. Then look what the House Republicans tweeted on Friday. Take a look at these headlines from today's job reports. Our booming economy continues to crush expectations. Yeah, we added 273,000 jobs in February alone, smashing the expectations. Well, why in the freak did the Dow Jones drop off a cliff once again to close the week? I mean, it's easier and cheaper to borrow money with the rate slashing, and man, jobs, and more jobs.
They took our jobs! They took your jobs!
They took your job!
Why do we keep adding those jobs? It's because Americans cannot frickin' make it on a single job anymore, and many have to hold multiple to survive. As we can see, we have reached record high numbers for people who have a primary full-time job and a secondary part-time job. And those numbers look even scarier when just looking at the number of multiple job holders, peaking way above the 2008 levels. It's a sad thing to see many of these people who have to have the two jobs, struggling to make ends meet with no frickin' health care, will vote for the shatheads like the Republican and Democratic Party, touting that this growth is a good thing, when this growth is from the devaluation of their number 1, time, number 2, money, number 3, health, and number 4, future. Devaluation of your time, what do I mean? Well, America and many of its companies will work you to death, and they don't give a frickin' two craps about it. Out of all the industrialized countries in the world, Americans work the most nights and weekends. The next is the UK, then Germany, and as we can see, France and the Netherlands value the night. Less than 10% of their populations work then. And this can be even more clearly seen in this productivity bubble chart. The United States is one of the few Western industrialized countries that is in the high hours, high output category. Other Western powers like the Netherlands, Germany, who value their citizens' time, they are in the low hours, high output category, the good one. What about the devaluation of your money? Well, I'm sure if you're a crypto or Bitcoin enthusiast, you know about the inflation of fiat currencies. Well, let's get into this a little more. Since the 70s, the Nixon shock, and bye-bye gold.
I love gold.
The dollar has been free to float, to be printed, which, yeah, it's a bad thing, but it could have been handled so much better. Because right after Nixon, you get Reagan and trickle-down economics, which give all those dollars to a certain group of people, the rich. Which, according to the trickle-down effect, the rich were supposed to take those dollars and create jobs, investments, and more because they were smarter than the middle class or poor and could do so much more with those dollars, which would benefit the middle class and the poor with jobs. Kind of taken away from the American dream, don't you think? The rich already achieved it, so now let's give them more of an opportunity to do it again, actually 1,000,000 times over, while giving normal citizens less of a chance than they had before all this. This chart graphs the fact beautifully. Between 1947 and 1979, the income of the bottom fifth of the population rose by 122%. But since trickle-down economics, from 1979 to just 2009, the income of the top 1% rose by 270%, while the bottom fifth has been decreasing year after year from that peak. I'll tell you right now, the American dream, it's shattered. Like I said, the majority of dollars are going to one group, the rich, and the majority of the United States population gets the scraps that the rich decide they can part with through shitty hours and wages to those people. The scraps are not enough for the people to survive from a growing majority because the dollar value is getting crushed through inflation. The buying power of $100 since the beginning of trickle down like Charlie Brown. And this decline is going right in sync with the slashing of federal funds rates, which is obvious with the two charts side by side. And now, today, we get a new Reagan, Donald Trump, who believes in Trumple down economics. Just a new trickle down where the tax cuts are given even more to the rich, while the poor and middle class just get even more scraps, actually peanuts. It's a backward R situation that Trumple just can't stop smiling about. But in my opinion, that smile just may turn into a scowling frown, as Trumper is getting frustrated with how things are going, like the stock market not continuing to boom. He tweeted this last week after the historic rate slashes in the States. It wasn't enough for him. Australia's central bank cut interest rates and stated it will most likely further ease in order to make up for China's coronavirus situation and slowdown. They reduced to 0.5%, a record low. Other countries are doing the same thing, if not more so. Our Federal Reserve has us paying higher rates than many others, which we should be paying less. Tough on our exporters and puts the USA at a competitive disadvantage. Must be the other way around. Should ease and cut. Rate big. Jerome Powell, led Federal Reserve, has called it wrong from day one. Sad. And you know what the scum of a human wants? Zero or negative rates. Tweeted this in September. The Federal Reserve should get our interest rates down to zero or less, and we should then start to refinance our debt. Interest costs could be brought way down, while at the same time substantially lengthening the term. Yeah, it's bad, but do you know why he wants rates brought down? Well, there is a lot of payments that need to be made since the coronavirus has infected the world. And things get ugly, let me tell you, regarding greed and the devaluation of your health and future. So in 2017, the World Bank launched a $425 million 2017 catastrophe bond issue supporting its Pandemic Emergency Financing Facility, PEF. The bonds, they worked like this. Insurance companies and rich sons of beaches invested cash into PEF bonds. In the case of a disease or pandemic breakout, the cash and insurance would be used to support some of the poorest countries in the world in their fight against pandemics. Well, all that money in PEF bonds outstanding are expected to mature in July, meaning the investors will get paid for taking the risk and investing in it. This means investors of the bonds will collect massive profits if the bonds aren't triggered, or will lose everything if the COVID-19 outbreak continues to escalate. And guess who in 2018 announced a strategic partnership together, joining forces to strengthen global health security? The World Bank and the World Health Organization. And why do you think WHO isn't calling it a pandemic yet? Why do you think the number of cases in China has come to an abrupt halt, hitting 80K 2 weeks ago and then no more? Look at this chart. February 19th, over 2K new cases in China, drops off a cliff, and now they are reporting basically nothing. While outside of the epicenter, cases are going parabolic. Now, does that make sense? Well, it's all frickin' lies, and it goes back to the World Health Organization and the World Bank. The virus, it's still spreading like mad in China, and there are rogue citizens still putting out the real news.
Social media networks like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter are blocked in China. But internet-savvy people use techniques that allow them to repost censored content to these platforms while staying under the radar of authorities. They're creating a visual archive by preserving videos like this one, showing overwhelmed hospitals. And they're reposting people's personal stories.
没有人关心我们平民老百姓的性命，有钱也买不到药，有钱也买不到病房。
Some are also turning to less obvious platforms, including GitHub, which is a site mostly used by coders.
很多备份团队都把他们的备份放在了 GitHub 上面。然后还有一些团队的话是在电报上面把一些微博跟微信上被审查了的截图发在电报的频道上面。
So do you understand it's not called a pandemic yet because some investors are about to get paid big and they will let smaller countries suffer to satisfy their greed. I'm sorry, you just can't be that evil without repercussions from karma. So it's obvious, my feeling of what is coming for the leaders of this, the stock market, global markets, and the accumulation of finance 1.0, a world of hurt. So what does that mean for crypto and Bitcoin? Well, it's very interesting seeing the markets get pumped at the end of the week and then hold, while the traditional markets started to feel the pain. But that was just a couple of days. And you gotta remember this video I posted on January 1st, titled Great Depression, Part Deuce is coming by 2026. Why Bitcoin is the new hope. In it, I compared the Roaring 20s to what happened to our economy after the financial collapse in 2008. Roaring started and went into overdrive by 2015. It's a 100-year cycle basically, and we're facing the next Great Depression, in my opinion. You know what was attacked as the Roaring 20s came to a halt? Gold! With a slowing economy and a bubble about to pop, citizens started hoarding gold to save their wealth. Well, the US put a stop to that as Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the Gold Reserve Act of 1933, which made it illegal for US public citizens to hold physical gold, and they were forced to exchange their gold coins, gold bullion, and gold certificates for paper money at a set price of $20.67 per ounce, while banks and the government hoarded it. Well, bank failures, they still happened, and the people's wealth, it was obliterated, while the government got a sweet exchange rate of just under $21 per ounce of gold, the biggest scam of the century. So, today if US citizens start to flock to Bitcoin, will something similar come from old Trumpster and his criminal Treasury Department munchkin, Steve Mnuchin? Well, Kurt, what do you gotta say about it?
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Cheers. I'll see you next time.